I hear experts say this all the time. I'm better than them, so why are they getting the opportunities? This is something you might have thought. You get all this expertise, but you might not be as visible as you'd like to be. And it took me about 7 years to learn this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you this, the next thing I'm going to say in 60 minutes, right? The best consultant, the best founder, or the best expert might be invisible while the loudest gets promoted. And this is something that's tricky about the market. And today I want to teach you something. I want to share something with you, and that is that you'll learn how to become visible without being loud, authentically visible. All right? And another fact I want to share is that opportunities aren't distributed equally. Working with a lot of leaders on their speaking, but also on their leadership skills, there's something clear that's become clear for me over the years. And that is that if you're the leading expert, if you're higher up in the perception of others, of where you stand, what category, what caliber you're in, you get most of the opportunities. And then the rest in your competitor field, they get the breadcrumbs, right? And so what you want to do is you want to move into the top category. And this is mostly perception because it's also subjective, but you can find tools that we're going to look at today to make it more and more tangible. So you move into the top category in your industry. And by that, you get more of the deals, better deals, and you can raise your rate. This is ultimately what we're trying to do. And there's an important point that I want to add. And probably some of you are guessing it. There's another fact. AI will widen this gap between the 80% and the 20%, between you being on the top and getting most of the deals and you getting the breadcrumbs, right? And this doesn't change whether you're an expert, whether you're a founder, whether you're on the C-level. It's the same thing. In your industry, the first ones taken out by AI, they aren't the ones with less skills. This is a problem with the thinking that we have. It's not the ones with the lesser skills, but the ones with the lesser visibility. This is how getting deals works, right? And you can try to ignore it, you can try to avoid it, you can criticize it, but that's the fact. So what you want to do is you want to build your leading expert brand, and by that you want to stay in the market. And that includes using AI, but today we're not going to talk much about the use of AI. There's experts on that, probably among you guys. We're going to talk about getting to that top level so more deals reach you. All right? With that said, the true question of today's session is, how do you become extremely valuable in your specific client's mind? That's what we're going to be looking at. And the logic that I want to use is, I want to go with you from personal branding, which is a big word, covers a lot of things, to really honing in on that leading expert positioning. That's what we're going to do today. And I want to start with a little example. There's a client case. This is Zakis, and he's a sustainability expert. He's also a podcaster. He runs one of the top podcasts in sustainability in my country, in Germany. And he went from facilitation at events to the industry thought leader within 3 months. So this can actually happen really fast if you put into work. And I'm going to walk you through the entire system today. And he broke through his own limits. That's a big, big step. The mindset is such an important step in that journey. It's not just about the tactics. And by that, he started charging more and he started getting more deals. And he unlocked bigger partnerships, right? So it's about deals, but it's also about partnerships in your business that will get you more deals. And I'm going to also cover this in a little while from today, from now. And I make all of these kind of like promises because this all will fit together at the end of the session. And if it doesn't, you'll have the chance to catch me with the Q&A at the very end. I decided to put the Q&A at the very end because that gives us more time for value. And if you want to stick around, you can ask all the questions you have. Here's a fact. Better clients give you better results, and that gives you better clients. If Zakis isn't an example of that, let's look at this second client case. This is Jermaine. She's a go-to-market sales expert, and she went from 4K a month to 13K a month. She spends 50% less time selling herself. And this is one of the key points here, because it's not just about making more. It's not just about becoming bigger. It's about what you do with your time and where you place your priorities. Super, super important. So the benefit of all of this, it becomes pretty clear, is that you have time on your hands to do the things that matter to you. Yes, whether that is investing more growth in your business, time for growth in your business, or whether it is for spending time with the family, raising your kids, etc. Right? By the way, Jermaine also got offered a PhD position. And the question here is also, how did she do it? And the answer is in today's session. All right. So Jermaine is an example of this thing I call sales freedom, right? Where sales, especially because she didn't want to spend so much time on sales, becomes an option for you because it's systemized. Why is it systemized? Because you've reached a level where more deals come to you than what you need to fish for, what you need to hunt for. All right. And this is also my personal journey, and I'll share that in a second. But before I do that, let's look at the agenda for the day. So this is a masterclass. This is not just a webinar. This is a masterclass. I want to make a distinction here. What we're going to do, we've already covered the welcome. I want to cover how you become valuable to others, right? We're going to dive into the leading expert formula. This is really the system behind it. If it's not systemizable, it's not repeatable. In order to make it repeatable for you guys, I had to build systems, and then I had to try it. And I have enough cases to be confident that you can repeat it and get the same results. All right. Then we're going to dive into, we're going to do a deep dive into one of the pillars, the one that I feel is most important. That's presenting. And then we're going to build your growth plan as promised. And we're going to do a little outlook. We're going to do closing, and then we're going to do Q&A as promised. Stick around. There's some cool stuff coming at the end. And the extra is really after 8 p.m. for those that are in Europe, and you can do the math, from New York, from wherever you are. That's where you come in with your specifics. I'm going to stick around for longer. I'm going to answer all of your questions. Cool? Unlike with most webinars, I'm going to do my very best to just shower you in value, okay? And in return, I want you to dare. So bring in your raw self, bring in your questions, bring in your doubts, bring in what doesn't work, because then we can fix it and we can actually make something out of it that works, all right? Also, if you engage, whenever I ask you, post something in the comment section, that's your chance to connect. This here is a free way for you to connect with other people like you that are on the same growth journey. And you can only do that if you show something of you that other people can, work with. So do engage. Feel free to take this as a community, which will help you grow. All right. With that said, let's dive in. Actually, I want to do something. I brought this picture because I want to do a quick session so we have a memory. That's going to happen now. Everybody I can see smile. All righty. Sweet. With that out of the way, let's dive right in. The key question, remember, how do I sell my knowledge in a noisy world? Okay, this is the logic that we're going by, because this logic helps us to go from, I'm just swimming in the pool of everyone in my industry, to rise above and communicate with the right audience, catch the right audience, convert the right audience easier, faster. All right. And what most people think when that's the question in a room is, I need to do more selling. Obviously, because this is how we get clients, right? Well, I'm going to offer an alternative. And the alternative is something that's hidden underneath that you already know. So we are not in the business of selling. We're actually in the business of trust building, because every sale requires trust. I don't think that's really new to any of you, but it's something I'd love to kind of really put in the forefront here, because the trust is what enables you to make selling easier, also more authentic. And how do we get to the trust? The fastest way to get to trust that I've found over the 11 years that I've been doing this is through authority. You can form trust in a long way by spending a lot of time with people and they start trusting you. And you can speed up the process by increasing your authority. If you increase your authority, you know this from many areas of life. If you increase your authority, you get to trust faster. Okay? And I want to actually give you a chance to show a little bit of who you are, so we all know, what area to trust you with. So feel free in the comment section right now, put your, your role or your title or your whatever you put in your LinkedIn description. Put that in here so we can start seeing who's in the, who's in here and who are we here with. Mindset and sales conversations coach. Perfect. Jimena, so nice to see you. Right, let me just go here to the chat. Medical marketing manager in pharma. Nice one. Chief happiness officer. Wow, I love this. Account director in tech sales. Portrait photographer. Senior product manager. Wow, I'm not fast enough. Supply chain. Whoa, I'm not fast enough. This is going through so fast. I hope you can see all of this. Let me just go in here. Inside sales engineer, operations business manager, manager consultant, founder associate. Wow, there's so many different areas. I love this. Creative human storyteller. Yes. Bogi, good to see you. Jenny, chief experience officer. Love it. You're catching up. I think I'm not catching everyone here, but I'm super excited to see all of you. Add to this, feel free to keep typing, add to this, why are you here? I'm guessing it's something in the arena of leads, sales, authority, raising prices. Maybe you come up with more different angles to this, but help us understand what's your goals. Those two things, your title, maybe people actually put some things together, city, title, and then your goals. This will help people connect with you better, right? And this will help me customize more as much as I can catch up here and get to know you. Help me better customize what I'm going to say later on. Cool. Generate more leads and sales. Scaling. I need a system. Perfect. We're talking about systems a lot today because, as I said, if it's not systemizable, it's not repeatable. Authority building trust, a system. I want to build my own photography business. LA, you connect with Alex. There's a guy called Alexander on the call. Write him. And if you don't catch him for some reason, I connect you guys. And I want to do this type of thing because on a growth journey, consultants, advisors, founders should not be on their own. Okay, sweet. With that, keep sharing what's your goals, and I'm gonna continue talking to you here and move on with my program. All right. So opportunities aren't distributed evenly. We talked about this, the 80-20, the pie chart that you saw earlier. And I actually want to share with you a little bit of my story. So as a consultant, I used to think good work sells itself, right? So I was working on becoming better, coaching certifications, my methodologies, doubling down with the right clients, with the right coaches, etc. But the problem was that I gained more followers. Yes, I gained more audience in general, but I couldn't convert the clients, right? It didn't work as I wanted to. I got incredible feedback from my clients, but then the new ones, they took months to convert. It took too long, right? The conversion cycle was extended far out, way further than my business could support it. I got really, really amazing opportunities in Saudi Arabia, in Morocco, in the United States, in Colombia. Phenomenal, but my rates were too low. I couldn't get past a certain point, and I was stuck for the most time way below 10K, right? Which bugged me. And it started changing when I started connecting a few dots, right? And I did my own research and I developed a leading expert formula. This is what I'm going to share with you today. And this is what started working for me. And then I copy pasted it onto other people's businesses and it started working for them. And that's my proof for, making something work that really helped push the needle, right? And when that started, I became somewhat of an authority. I became thought leader of the year. I raised my prices. I worked with the C-suite at L'Oreal, at Mercedes, at the Swiss Armed Forces. That's when things started to happen, right? I always say the lights turned green for my business with this. And that's why I started working with other people doing that. It fulfills me a lot to help other people do that. And I'm going to teach it to you today, right? So now you understand where I come from. This picture is picture me like going nuts because things aren't working. And now I hope I look a little bit different. Okay. You need to realize your personal brand is not your LinkedIn profile. Okay. And also, if your focus is somewhere else, YouTube, or Instagram or TikTok, also same thing. Yes, content helps with discovery, and I am not saying you shouldn't do content. I post 5 times a week on LinkedIn. I'm definitely not saying you shouldn't do content, but a lot of us confuse personal branding, which these days has become posting on fill in the platform, with actual brand building that converts at high rates. This is what we're here for, correct? So your profile on any given platform, and this could be a website, by the way, is the gateway to capture clients. Your content is your ability to connect with and discover, and for new people to discover you, right? Also, of course, nurturing existing leads. But in order to capture top opportunities at high rates, you need to become a leading expert. You need that leading expert positioning. So I want to go beyond, just like the intro slide, or one of the intro slides, beyond personal branding to this leading expert positioning. Got it? Okay. Because nobody will give you $10,000, euros, yen, whatever, probably different number in yen, on a Zoom call unless you're the leading expert. That won't happen until you're the leading expert. And short sales cycles, I mentioned that earlier, shortening the sales cycle or high rates, those are a luxury that's reserved for the leading expert. And I've done this game long enough to know what's the difference between 2K and 10K, because if you can deliver it, your clients define the actual value. I have seen this happen too many times where the exact service was sold for 2K versus 10K. The exact same service, right? So this hopefully underlines this point that is all about positioning, whether you capture 10K or whether you capture 2K or less, okay? And that is all within the leading expert formula. Let's dive in. Top brands don't invest in experts. Top brands invest in the leading expert. That's what I want to bring across. I hope through various ways, I've now made it very clear what's my perspective on making this happen for you. Let me give you the helicopter view overview of the leading expert formula. You're going to recognize some things that are very obvious. Don't be put off by the simplicity of this. And then we're going to dive in and do detailed work. All right, let's go. You need a positioning. Step number 1. The positioning means you're not doing 3 things. This is where most experts trip, is because they offer various things and then they're confusing to the market. Their positioning is fragmented. We're going to have this slide and variations of it in front of us for a while. So feel free, obviously, to take screenshots, but don't get hooked up on it. You need a profile. I already mentioned this a minute ago. Your profile needs to be stupid simple for you to be booked. What I see most of the time happening is that people overcomplicate their profile. And when people land on their gateway to book this expert, to book your expertise, they get confused. So the biggest thing I see as a problem is actually confusion. It's not lack of expertise, it's lack of simplicity. Now, when you have a profile, you need a product. And to be clear, you need a product staircase. And I'm using product here because it so wonderfully fits with the 5 Ps that you see here on the screen. Of course, we're probably talking about a service. All right. And if you have a simple staircase, you should never have a problem of wondering what 3 things people can book you for or get from you. And when things, it could look like something like this. Number 1, free content. Number 2, free deeper going content. For example, this masterclass here. And number 3, 1 premium product. Now, what most people do is they have a website and they have 4 premium products and very little free content. There you can already see the problem. Now, I'm not here to teach you how to create content or preach to you to create more content. All I'm saying is the simplicity is really the golden nugget here. And we're going to dive into this. Number 4, You need partners. Partners are great because they open doors to new audiences. Just like with this wonderful masterclass here, the Nova platform is getting insights from me, and I'm getting you to be speaking to you, and new people discover me. This is a perfect example. You can also do content collabs. It's a great way to find new audiences. And what you want to do is you want to align with people that have the same vision and that have the same goals as you. And when you do that, beautiful things happen, right? And then last but not least, you guessed it, you need to be presenting. I'm going to try and convince you today that one of the fastest way you can get authority is through presenting. And there's so many examples of this, but I'm pretty sure that you've seen this happen in live already sometime in your life. All right, systems of speed. Because you get a system of something that already worked many, many, many times, you gain speed, right? You don't have to figure it out yourself. So positioning, you want to be known for one thing, skip everything else. This is more about your lens than anything. You can be three things. You can be an expert at a certain subject, you can be a dad, and you can be a traveler. It's possible, but you need one lens through which to filter all of your communication. If you don't do that, people are confused, all right? So I'm an advisor. I'm also a super connector. I love connecting people. I'm also a speaker, right? These are just three examples of the things I am. But I look through everything I do is through the lens of authority, right? So come up for you right now, come up with your one thing through which the lens to which you see everything. And when you start communicating around that thing, it's probably usually one word, and it's fairly specific, not ultra specific, fairly specific. That's when people start from going, oh, this is a very fragmented brand, to I know exactly what Josh, Anna, Michael are doing. All right? And then think about it from a different perspective. What are you obsessed about solving for your clients? What's a client pain, something that's really bugging your clients that you're obsessed about solving? If you're not obsessed about this thing, forget about it, because then you're not going to reach a top level in the industry. If you're not crazy about solving this thing, I doubt that you can reach a very, very high position, right? So pick something that you're passionate about. Cool. These people, you might know some of them. Amy Edmondson, Brene Brown, Simon Sinek. They're very clear brands. If you know any of them, you know that they've figured this one out. And because they figured this one out, a large part of why they figured this one out is why they're so famous. Because they're not three things. And most of the people that I work with, they're three things. Actually, as a matter of fact, I used to be three things or four things, and I could never say no to my darlings. And the moment I started doing one thing, that's when things started to happen for me. All right, your turn. Put in the comments here if you've ever experienced this. Right? Share with us your experience, because it will give room to resonate with you, and it gives room for people to reach out to you, right? And for me to pick up on it, for example, in the Q&A session. So do you recognize the previous examples, these ones here, in you? Let's go a step further. You don't need to know these people for this to be very, very true, right? So these are three of my clients that have started to position themselves very precisely. You recognize the one on the right, that's Sakas from the earlier example, but there's also Anna and there's also Flo. So my point here is they don't need to be famous to be an example, because to rise in your industry, you just need to outperform who's in the pool around you. You don't need to become Simon Sinek and the equivalent in your industry, right? You need to become the number one in your arena. All right, let's move on. Your profile across all platforms that you use. Maybe you're just on one. Maybe you're just on LinkedIn. Let's assume you're just on LinkedIn, but maybe you're also on TikTok. Maybe you're also on Instagram, right? You need to make it ultra simple, stupid simple to book you, right? So just pick a very simple message that builds trust, and then skip most of the rest. Also, for your content, when you create content, please, please, please create content pillars, right? Don't just post whatever you're thinking. Use that lens that I talked about earlier, and you allowed 3 to 5 content pillars around your content, right? If you're fragmented, you're going to make it so much harder for people to land on your profile and say, wow, I want to find out what that person does. Okay. That's all I'm going to share with the profile, because we have limited time. With the product, my message is very similar to your positioning, right? Simplicity is the key. So don't have 6 offerings. Start with 1. If one offering is working incredibly well for the 3rd month in a row, then you start adding another product. You're not allowed to start another product before your first one isn't killing it, like really good, okay? And so I want to lay out a little bit how I perceive this area, right? Your product, your service staircase. What you want to do is you want to let people discover you with free content. You want to then have something like, a podcast for more deeper content, which is free, or a masterclass like the one we're doing right now, which is free, right? Give people surface area with your brand, because when they have surface area and then more depth onto the surface area, that's when they can start trusting you. Okay. Also, stages. You don't need to get paid for stages. You can do free stages, and you give people more surface area on your brand, right? This is how you build authority. And then you start with 1 paid product, right? Whether that's advisory, whether that's a cohort business, and you can do paid speaking. There's so many ways. You can do coaching, of course, but don't do 5. Don't start with 5, right? And most of you will be in business long enough to have had the experience of launching 3 for whatever reason, and realizing that you spread yourself very thin. All right. So 1 premium advisory product. That's what I recommend. Let's move on to partners. Content collabs. I mentioned it earlier, right? Hosting, sharing a post, reposting, doing a LinkedIn Live, doing a podcast together with people that have an audience. These are opportunities for you. You pick people to be your partners that are door openers, right? They lend you brand authority. They open doors to special people. They open doors to bigger audiences, right? This is why you want to engage very actively in partnerships. And you guessed it, this is a catch-22. You need a certain authority for a certain type of person to start working with you, right? So you better start now. The sooner you start, the more your authority raises, the more you can step up that ladder and work with, bigger people, bigger creators, for example. Cool. And then obviously sales partnerships. You can do joint ventures, you can do brand deals. But if you're not actively engaging in partnerships on I would say, at least bi-weekly level, then it's no surprise that you're not in the leading expert arena yet. This is so important because many people skip this or do this way too late. You can already do this today, and it's super powerful. But what's even more powerful is number 5, presenting. This gives you sales freedom, right? Presenting is really what we're going to go into and dive deeper today. It's the 5th, but it's by far the most important. And this is what most people don't teach you, because the market usually is somewhere, there's a lot of offer in terms of support, in terms of coaching around the personal branding, which is, I'm going to help you post 5 times on LinkedIn a week. And then there's going to be a lot of people preaching you that you should be better as a public speaker, right? But it usually revolves around the idea of becoming a good public speaker. It's not, what I find hard to find is people that really see speaking as an authority and sales tool, vehicle. And this is what I want to give you, right? As I said earlier, authority is the fastest way to gain trust, and speaking is the fastest way to gain authority. Because think about it. Have you ever seen somebody at the very top who's not a speaker? You probably haven't. Because if you're rising up in your industry, it's natural for people to reach out to get your insights as an authority. So start engineering it the other way around and start beginning to take stages so people self-evidently see that you're the industry authority, right? So you can reverse engineer this and take this, make this your advantage. All right. So we're going to do a deep dive into presenting, and I'm going to give you one of my most potent tools that usually is only accessible through my cohort accelerator. And to lead into it, I want to give you an analogy. I consider speaking the flossing of the business world, right? So you go to the dentist and you lie down, you open your mouth, and the dentist says, "Did you floss?" And then you're going to say something like, "Sometimes," or maybe you're going to share a white lie, or, well, the point is the dentist already knows you haven't, or you haven't to the degree that you should, and therefore your teeth aren't in the condition that they should be, right? Your teeth are bad, and the reason is you're not flossing. And this is exactly how this is. You already know that the best people in your industry are speakers. So you should be doing it. You skip it or you wing it, or you don't take all of the opportunities presented to you, and then issues creep in, right? You're surprised, that sales aren't working the way they could be. And one of the reasons is that when people come to your profile and then see content of you speaking on stages, it's evident that you must be an industry authority. Now, if they come to your profile and they don't see that content, they're not going to put you in that. So as I said earlier, the fastest way to get to authority is speaking. And what I also want to share is, it's not that hard. It seems like this big thing out there for those people who haven't done extensive speaking, but I'm going to show you today that you can do it and that you can get started very easily. Cool. And I don't know who's saying this, Gennaro. I don't know, P&G should pay you. I'm so curious what that means. I'm guessing what I'm seeing here is Procter & Gamble, maybe? But yes, okay, cool. Love it. Let's move on. I want to make the most out of this time. I promised you a lot of value. I hope you're already getting a ton of it. All successful founders, all successful consultants have one thing in common. They all do public speaking. So I hope I'm being clear. I hope I'm being crystal clear that every one of you should start speaking more, right? Even if you are already speaking, you should be speaking more. Okay, your turn. Have you seen speaking work for you? And if you have, did you read the cues? Are you doing it? Do you see successes? Have you fallen off and want to restart it again? Share your experience. Again, we want touch points. We want rawness. We want the ability to connect with each other. We have 20 minutes left. I'm going to do my best to pick up on these and make sure you get a lot of value. All right. Bogie says, yes, but I haven't succeeded in making money off it. Okay, I'm here to teach you how to do it. This is what I've been doing for 11 years of my life, is earn money through speaking. And I feel like I have the systems to teach it to other people. Yes, I have, and every speaking gig led to another. I love this. This is Chris. I love this. I have the same experience. So whenever I step on one stage, I get 1 to 2, sometimes 3 new speaking gigs from every speaking gig, right? So even though this business can be considered non-scalable, I think it scales perfectly because, whether you get brand awareness, authority, or paid, whether you get paid, all of these will scale, as you can clearly see from the math, right? And then this doesn't even consider the visibility through video yet, right? So if you cut it up in authority clips and you spread these, one stage can give you 30 clips, which then again sell you online, right? So the math is actually pretty insane. So whoever calls this non-scalable is actually not thought it through. This is why your brand really needs you to speak. Cool. Actually, here's another analogy. All of you know Monopoly, right? And you know this moment when you get the go across a go thing card? This is speaking. This is speaking. You jump across and you collect whatever thousands because you jump ahead you become another caliber. You jump ahead in your career, right? So if you just do one thing, please let it be this. Start speaking more because it's the fast track. It's like the left lane to authority. Cool? All right. I hope I brought the message across. Let's look at this ridiculously effective pro speaker roadmap. Because some of you commented, you want to get paid for it. your current reality and your future reality. We humans have a beautiful way of picturing our future. I don't think any other mammal can do this. If there's any biologist, please correct me. But we have this beautiful way of projecting ourselves into the future, and it helps us with so much stuff. It also fucks, I'm going to say it, fucks with our brain, but it also is very, very effective, right? And the simplest way I can depict the way to get there is through ABC. I hope that's simple enough. You want to get to a pro speaker, you need to focus on positioning. Because if you don't position yourself well, all of what you're going to do in step 2, which is the presenting and finding really effective ways to communicate, is going to be more vague than it needs to, right? And then what you need as a third step is you need portfolio stages. In order to get portfolio stages, there's a few steps that you can take, but the most important aspect of this is that every portfolio stage gives you the next bigger stage. It's like a little staircase. So don't think about speaker reel or like marketing materials too much. Speaker sheet, all of that is, people sense it from miles away that that's marketing. The most effective way to sell yourself as a speaker is to be seen speaking. That means content as well, video content. So just get on stages, get on portfolio stages, capture it and share the content, and people will go, I love this, I want this for my audience. It's the most real way to sell your speaking. Cool? Let's move on. I'm going to dive in. I'm going to give you my 3x3 persuasion framework. This is basically the accordion speech because it opens and closes like an accordion, and it allows you to become the most effective speaker on any event. Big claim? True. Let's dive in. This is the overview, 3x3. It's like a matrix, and I'm going to go step by step to allow you to understand my thinking here. All right. On the left, we're going to have the 1, 2, 3 of your speech, right? So we're going to have the intro, we're going to have the mid part, and we're going to have the outro. And then within the mid part, we're going to talk about how you present. All right, let's go. You have 7 seconds to convince your audience that you have something worthwhile to say. If you waste those 7 seconds, those people are going to pick up their phone and they're going to focus on something else. Instead, if you succeed in those 7 seconds, they're going to say, that's me. You're describing me. I want what you have. Okay? This is what you want. So don't waste the 7 seconds. I'm going to jump from intro, which we just covered, to end of your speech. Actually, before I do, let's look at the 3 worst ways to start your talk. A lot of people start by presenting themselves. Nobody cares, right? Yes, you can share your story, but don't share it at the very beginning because people want to hear their problem through your mouth. If they don't, you have a problem. They pick up their phone and they focus on something else, which is them, okay? Don't share your favorite quote. It's probably just your favorite quote, right? Chances are super high that it's not going to resonate with everyone. What does resonate with everyone is if you're obsessed with the client's pain. That's what resonates with your audience. And if your audience, your physical audience, is the audience you want to speak to, then you just won, right? And third, please don't share your excitement. I'm not saying don't be passionate. I'm just saying don't say this is a very interesting blog post or this is a very interesting fact. Because again, chances are it's just you thinking it's interesting. And chances are that there's a dissonance between you saying it's interesting and the audience not yet catching it and then going, what do you mean? Because if it's interesting, they would be sitting there at the edge of their seats waiting for you to say the next thing, right? So instead, only talk about the client's pain and a way to get rid of it. That's it. This is what you want to do in the first 7 seconds, okay? So here's what you do in the first 7 seconds. You talk about who they are. You address who they are so they can self-identify. You talk about their pain. I've covered this long enough now. And then you tell them what they want, right? You give them a solution to their problem. So hopefully I managed to do that effectively when I gave you my very first slide and I said, As an expert, I'm hearing, from experts, I'm better than them, so why are they getting the opportunities, right? And this, by the way, is good content. If you go if you talk about unfairness, it does something inside of people, right? So hopefully that worked on you, for you, and I caught you in the first 7 seconds. This is the type of thing you want to do, right? And I promise it, we're going to jump all the way to the end. At the end of your presentation, you only do one thing. You create action. You get them to take the first step towards results, because you want to be associated with getting people results, not just talking. The world is full of people who are talking. You want to get people results, and you want to get them to make the first steps towards it, right? So you want to get them to say, I will start. You do that with a challenge. I want you in the next 5 days to do XYZ. You ask a commitment from them. Dear audience, can you all commit to doing step ABC by the end of today? That creates action. Or you tell them the next step. In order to get started, I want you to do XYZ, right? This moves you from a speaker to a speaker who creates action, who's remembered, who's referred. Cool. Let's move on. When you come to the main part of your speech, I want you to forget about teaching. Yes, you might be a teacher. Yes, you might be a professor, but most people have a very, let's say, problematic memory, when it comes to teaching and being professed upon, right? What you want instead is you want to share stories. You want to create simple, relatable speech so people go, I can do that. You've just made it clear to me what needs to be done. Let me try. That's all I want you to do. And I'm going to dive into this because this is obviously the body of your speech. This is the most important part. You want to describe the problem. I hope I'm making it clear that you need to talk about the problem of your clients, right? So how you do that, you talk about the broken path, the thing that's not working, right? LinkedIn posting didn't work for me. I did it for years and it just didn't convert any clients. That's the old way, right? What's not working? Then you talk about the solution. Well, the new way I found is to raise your authority. And when I did that, things started to work for me. It's so simple, but you need to stay on that simplicity level to actually catch people, right? Talk to people like they're 8 years old, not because they're stupid, but because that's where you reach the most people, right? And this includes C-level. This includes your clients that are very, very experienced, right? Share with them what you discovered. Share with them your way, your methodology. And third, you want to give them tactics to replicate your successes, right? The step by step that help them replicate what you got, right? So you're the guide. This is what you want them to do. And in order to bring this across this, 3-step system, what you want to do is you actually, here's an example, sales industry example, right? Endless cold emails, generic pitches. Sorry, that's my alarm. Generic pitches, chasing unqualified leads, outbound, didn't work for me, right? I was super busy, nothing happened for me. The solution, position yourself as a peer, not a vendor. I'm like you, I experienced the same thing. We think alike, but I discovered a way that got me out of where you are to where I am right now, and you can follow my path, right? Lead with insight. What's the difference between information and insight? Insight is lived experience that led to a different outcome. Okay, lived experience that led to a different outcome. And then tactic. Structure every pitch, every presentation like a conversation, right? Imagine you're sitting down with someone and you're just sharing over coffee what you discovered, right? And then always offer a clear next step. That's an example of these 3 steps, but there's one step more that I want you to take. It's called the 3x3, right? So I want you to enrich your presentation with one of the following: a client case, an analogy, or a story. You've seen me do all 3 at various points in this presentation. You've seen me talk about Jermaine and her success story. You've heard me talk about my story and how it transformed me. You've heard me talk about the flossing as an analogy. This is how you capture people's attention. I loved your feedback in the chat, that the analogies worked. So thanks for that. Point being, you want to enrich your presentation with this, right? So now you have the whole system, and you can build this for yourself in 60 minutes. You can build the best presentation you've ever built in 60 minutes. If you just follow the simple system, don't overcomplicate it. Keep it simple. I guess the main thing to take away from this from this thing is simplicity. I didn't make that clear so far, but it's becoming ultra clear for me now. So your growth plan, let's build it now. You've got all the puzzle pieces. I hope they're coming together, and we're going to build it now. We have a couple minutes left. I want you to think. I love this bogey. If only simplicity was that easy. That is so true. That is so true. I think a lot of people will resonate with this. Simple, not easy. That's the statement I always say. Here it is. Your goal is a consistent stream of top leads. What do I mean by top leads? It's obviously the types of businesses you're proud of working with, the types of businesses that give you some brand juice, the type of businesses that pay well without delaying. These types of businesses are the businesses you want to work with. Number one, month one, you want to work on your IP system, right? IP stands for intellectual property. So what makes you as an expert? That could be your methodology, but it's mostly your lens through which you see problems, through which you see specifically the problem of your audience. I'm always talking about the paying audience need. So you need to be crystal clear and ultra passionate, obsessed about a need that your audience has that they are willing to pay to get rid of, okay? And this is in the area of 1 and 2 here, where your positioning becomes very clear and in your profile reflects this, okay? And you can bring in super nice inspiration bombs, eye bombs, like the ones I showed you. These are the snippets that some of these top experts say when they talk to people online, on podcasts, on video, right? So I mentioned Simon Sinek earlier. I love this example. He's a leadership trainer and coach and advisor. And he says, leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. Now, wouldn't it be super nice if you had your own version of that for your expertise? And whenever you said it, people would say, damn, that sounds pretty good. It builds brand in one sentence. So this is what you're going to be doing in your IP system. And then you're going to move on along this little circle here, and you're going to start building your keynote system, right? Around your product, you're going to position a free and later as a paid keynote, right? Because we know it builds authority, right? You're going to do that with the system I just gave you, right? So you have the tools. And the beauty is you can now take your insights, you can take your positioning and formulate your keynote. And then you're going to start reaching out to partners, and you're going to start getting podcast appearances, stages, collaborations on content. These are going to become so much clearer because of what you just built it between month 1 and month 6, right? And then you're going to build your portfolio system where, by way of going to these stages, by way of sharing more insights online, by collaborating with more partners, you actually have content that shows how you are positioned as a leading expert, by the types of people you work with, by the type of messages you bring out, by the clarity of your voice, by your executive presence on stage, right? The only thing you need to remember is you need to capture every moment. For those that aren't so much into being on camera, please still capture your moments on stage. This is so important. This builds your brand. And by the time you walk around this wheel, you're going to find that it becomes a flywheel. Because the moment you've built the elements, the essential elements of this, they start new coincidences, new serendipities, and new opportunities. And then it becomes effortless. Because then you've built the foundation from which people can feed off and give you opportunities, right? And it's going to become more natural, more confident to ask for certain rates. And you're going to have more opportunities. So when people don't agree to that rate, you're going to be fine saying no, right? And in just about 12 months, you won't recognize your business. The only thing you need to do is get started. Now, I promised you some cool stuff at the end. One of those is to speed up the process. So if you want to get this done not in 12 months or 24 months, but in actually 3 months, I'm here to help. This is my premium service. And if you want to get it done by March, the IP system, get all the systems that I teach in order to get it done quicker, to not make any errors and to get there by March. If you then want to build your keynote system by April and get on those stages by May, you can do that with the systems I teach you. If you want to do that, you have a chance to work with me and get results like all of these beautiful people. So with this specific product, I have 125 client cases. There's Flo, there's Romy, there's Louise, there's Steven, there's Christoph, there's a bunch of people. I'm just going to give you the overview here. You can do it like them, and you can go from guesswork to getting it done with speed. If you want to do that, please feel free to scan the QR code. That'll lead you to a call with me, because I do qualifying calls. The way I work is I select my people that I work with, and then I get them to another level in order to know who you are, in order to qualify, and also to disqualify if we just don't align. We're going to have a call. On that call, I'm going to give you a ton of value. So either way, if you want to book a call, you're going to walk away with tactics, with systems that you have recorded. I'm going to give that to you. And if you want to work with me, I work in cohorts. I work with super powerful cohorts of selected people that then go on this journey together and get it done in 90 days. It's super beautiful. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of power. And you're going to get to know other people that are working on the same level, that want to get to a higher level. And feel free to reach out. The QR code is there. You know how Calendly works. If you want to reach out in a more traditional way, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can also send me an email. If you have questions, you can also send me an email, and I'll leave the QR code up later. What I want to say for closing, because we're at the hour in a minute, if you just do one thing, forget about the call, forget about the positioning, forget about all of the things, simplicity first. If you just do one thing, please do more speaking. It will fast track your success. I guarantee it. If you just do one keynote in the next 3 months, you're going to have taken the first step to becoming more of an authority than you are today. And with that said, this was Building Your 2026 Growth Plan. Super grateful for all of you here. Whoever can stick around to share your questions, I'm going to try to answer them, in order. Stick around, ask new questions if you listen in and something new comes up. And with that, go out there, do more speaking, build your growth plan, and I'm excited to see the results. Thank you. I'll go back to this slide for anybody who wants to catch the QR code. And with that, Lucia, let's see how I can't see the order, because we discussed this earlier. For me, there's no numbers coming up.
Okay, I think we don't have anyone has raised their hand yet. Let's see. We have the first one.
Sweet.
And I can help you with this.
Nice one. Thank you. Elenia, hi.
Hi, Alex. I hope you can hear me and see me well.
Excellent.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It was really nice to get to know you and all the others in the call. I have a question for you regarding the business itself. You have been working in and the fields of business. I work in defense, and most of the times, especially in my specific area of defense, so I work in nuclear, I work in non-proliferation, nuclear weapons, CBRN, and I work with institutions. I'm a consultant right now, but I work with multiple institutions in the past. And the thing is that in my area, most of the times, the loudest you are, the less institutions are gonna trust you, especially when you work with secretive information, So especially this is true for some types of institutions where, for example, you need a clearance to work on, specific dossiers. And so it is true that in a sense, I do not want to engage only with institutions. I want to engage also with, leading think tanks, organizations that do work in the field, that are really vocal, that are essential to keep on the conversation in the field going. But at the same time, you have to strike the balance, you know what I mean? So
yes.
What do you recommend in that sense? Have you ever come across something like this? And Yeah,
Yes.
what would be your suggestion in this case? Because speaking more sometimes, or maybe I have some restrictions. So sometimes I was working in an organization and I could not do it because I simply would have had to go through an approval. That was simply a way to discourage people from doing it, because otherwise you would have exposed the organization to a potential, like a, how can I say, like a, yeah, they might not want you to say some stuff, basically, or be talking about some things.
Yes, 100%. So the word that comes to mind, and I know this from multiple different areas, I used to work with the Swiss Armed Forces myself. The word that comes to mind that's most effective for you, I believe, is abstraction, right? So some areas you just can't touch. And then there's the areas that even if you touch them, people will know what you're talking about. So effectively, you can also not touch them, right? But I would be surprised if you didn't find a vast spectrum of topics that you can talk about if you either use abstraction on topics that, are a little bit taboo, or you move into the area where it becomes more insight, right? So more generalizable, is that the word? You know what I mean?
I understood the content, yeah.
So your work, and this is mostly a copywriting work, is going to be the work of abstraction. And the best example I can think of right now, this is probably not the best example I can think of, let's say in general, but the best example I can think of right now is Nicholas Means' example. He is a software engineer. Now, he doesn't really talk about taboo things. That's why it doesn't one-on-one work for your case. But strangely, he gave this massively successful keynote about crashing an airplane. Now, what? So he talks about, at this massive conference, about basically coding. He talks about an airplane crash in 1989, and he talks for 42 minutes in a 45-minute keynote about the story. And you get so lost and you get so immersed that you wonder, you only wonder at the 42-minute mark, because you're so immersed, why he's actually talking about this. And he's talking about leadership in the cockpit. And so I'm seeing for you an abstraction where you draw, for example, leadership examples, or where you draw, let's say, meaning example, whatever that means for you and for the audience, out of examples that you find either in your work or that you find in history, right? And when you do that, you work on an abstraction level where nobody can touch you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Even if sometimes, of course, if you're talking about this, it's more depending the audience you try to reach. Yeah. If it's the stakeholder, or if it's somebody like client that wants to buy your talk or your service. Yeah.
I'm underlining abstraction because you can use examples from history that don't jeopardize anyone's let's say integrity or what they do. This is an easy one for you that a lot of people use. But if if this isn't clear enough, definitely reach out to me and we can talk about this more, and we can find more examples of people that resonate with you, where this is working for them.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your question. And Serena, thanks for raising your hand.
Yes, I before I ask a question, Ilenia, I wrote in the chat that one interesting way that you can try to improve this when it's difficult to speak is the novelist Ismail Kadare. He wrote wonderful novels, but in full symbolism during the communist time in Albania. So you might learn a lot on how you can use legends, folklore, metaphors, analogies, a lot of other things to capture the essence without telling the full truth. And he made it not to be banned or killed by the dictator. And now he's a 15 times nominated novelist. So it might give you a perspective, but we can speak about that. Thank you, Alex, and great to meet everybody. So a lot of what you mentioned resonate with me. I wonder I'm hooked at the reverse engineering bit. So I've been speaking for many years, also as a lecturer, trainer, winning competitions worldwide with audiences of thousands in China and US. But I was not very good at leveraging it and translating it into a full monetized system. Of course, I do it a lot. So for example, 2025, I had like 10 different talks or panels or all of that, but I want it to be seamlessly, just like you mentioned. And I feel lucky to have this maternity leave right now to shape and focus. But how would you go by and use the past, which is almost a decade, if not more, of speaking and providing services, but never structured, never put into a system? And that's also because only last year I became an independent consultant. I was always affiliated to either a university or a company or organizations where I delivered my my content.
Perfect. I have a couple of questions to clarify, and this will be valuable to anyone who's in a similar space. Number one, have most of them been recorded?
Yes, I have content on YouTube and everywhere, ton of it.
Fantastic. Do you have permission to use them from the organizations that, were involved?
Yes. Yeah,
Fantastic.
because while they're on YouTube, I can just tag them, bring them. Yeah, I have.
You are sitting on a gold mine. You're sitting on a branding gold mine. So AI will be your friend. You want to first create your lens, right? The lens I talked about. So since you've been doing it for 10 years, there's a high chance that your lens shifted over the years, right? And that doesn't have to be the way, but just pick the lens that's most effective for you today, right? So rather than sticking to the past, just make sure it serves you today. And then with that lens, you're going to employ AI to extract snippets, right? And, it's going to speed up the process so much, right? So let's say you have a keynote of 45 minutes or 25 minutes, you're going to extract snippets, and then you're going to filter out those that serve your current lens, right? And this is a process that, for any given keynote, AI is semi-good to good at this point. You might need to do a little bit of manual editing, which is totally fine, which is worth the while. Some people struggle with not having enough content, and you're going to just extract the ones that are really serving your paying audience need, what I mentioned earlier. And when you do that, you're going to have your hands on probably 60 to 80 content pieces, right? Short form content. And this is going to be very valuable. This is the short one. I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to ask questions, but this is my most effective first step for you. That for me is a must, because it's going to be very, very valuable for you.
That's great. And maybe I ask Lucia to book a meeting with the Novas in one of the talks. Yes, thank you, Alex.
Of course, Serena. Reach out if you have any questions.
I would give you some subject, but we can't use AI for that.
No. Daniela, thanks for raising your hand.
Yeah, no problem. Well, thank you so much for everything. This has been super helpful already. I'm helping one of my clients actually become a leading expert, and I'm building out his website and all of the things that we really are working on that. So that's super exciting. And when I think about myself and how I can become a leading expert, I'm still kind of stuck in that first stage. My career has been, I like to say I'm a Swiss Army knife and a generalist. I've done everything from recruiting to sales to marketing to being on stage. And that's great. I see obviously a lot of value in that. But I still feel like I'm stuck in figuring out what that positioning is, what that lens is. So I'm okay with waiting a little bit before obviously starting this whole process. But what would you say to someone who's stuck there, who I don't know what my one value proposition is yet?
Yeah, I would do a brainstorming round. This is not necessarily here. This is something that happens more here. And actually, you're freezing. I'm not sure if you're hearing this. Just confirm if you're hearing this. Perfect. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that you're not losing this. To me, and also with other people, I always see the same thing. It's hard because people are trying to do it here, right? You try to think your way to your vision, but your vision is actually more here. And so it's about decluttering, it's about unlearning, it's about looking, past the things you see every day, and thinking to yourself, a little bit of the ikigai methodology, but leave out the making money for now. Why? Is because it's a lens. You're going to add the making money, of course, but it's about a lens. It's about the thing that, one, makes you proud when fulfilled, and the thing that makes you regret if you get old and you haven't done it, right? And when you start there, things are going to shift, right? It might still take time, but you're going to get there faster. I guarantee it. You're going to get there way faster. So don't try not to think your way there. You can bring in the thinking again after, but just jot down, brainstorming way, jot down terminologies, words, short snippets of things that define you, through which you see the world. And then you can circle some, just use creative brainstorming. I probably don't need to explain this. Use a big sheet of paper or a board, something like this here, and start with that. And then later you can bring in more of the logical stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I'm actually doing the artist way right now. I don't know if you've heard about it, but and as a way to kind of bring out that creativity and figuring out. So that in combination with ikigai. Yeah, thank you so much.
Another way, this just came to my mind. This is something that I always teach people. Ask people that are somewhat close to you. I'm not talking your mom and best friend. Yes, you can ask them as well, but not strangers, because again, that's a bit tricky. Ask people that know you fairly well. What are the 3 things they see in you, what you stand for, right? This is super, super effective. You can bring in other levels of people, of circles as well, but start with these, let's say, mid-range connections. They're going to be neutral enough, but they're going to be close enough.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for your question. Chiara, the slides will be shared, yes. And I think Lucia is going to take care of that. If not, I'm going to jump on it.
Yeah, sure. We'll share the slides, recording, and key takeaways within our community. So don't worry about it. You will have everything to receive and go through this great session.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wants to ask a question? Again, this is your chance. Be raw. Bring in your, full self, both for me to be able to answer the question most effectively, give you the most value, but also for others who are still in the call. There's about 20 people still left to connect with you, right? To find you on LinkedIn, reach out, be by your side when you, build this next step of your business. So I dare you. Jimena.
Hello. Hi, nice to see you.
How are you?
Thank you for the super valuable session.
Thank you.
Super appreciated. I took a lot of notes, and there's one thing that kept me thinking, because you also mentioned this known for one thing. And as I share when you ask for what we do, I'm a mindset and sales conversations coach, which is I'm always thinking, am I confusing people because I'm sharing always 2 things? It is tied. They're linked together, obviously. The thing that I enjoy the most is mindset. Now that you were talking with Daniela about the ikigai and thinking about mindset is the thing that fulfills me when I see that I'm helping people to change the way they think and they think about themselves. That is what lifts me up every time. And I do sales. I help them also to have sales conversations, confident sales conversations. In my positioning or in LinkedIn, I talked about sales. That's one pillar, and mindset, one pillar. I don't know if I confuse people if I'm constantly saying mindset and sales conversation. I don't know what is your thought about it, if that makes sense, what I'm also...
It makes sense. Yeah. I'm going to ask you a question. There's no right and wrong, but there's definitely clearer and less clear, right? So yes, there's confusion potential. I have a question for you that might get you closer, because I can't say yet whether you should drop one or whether you should focus one, whether you should keep. I can't say that yet, but I'm going to get you closer. And the question is this: when you look at the market that you're in, the industry that you're in, even when you look broadly, no specific names, just like broadly what's happening there with other people offering things, and then you ask yourself, in your clients, where do they go? Holy shit, I would have never gotten there without Jimena. That thing is what you should be branding, right? And if that's mindset for salespeople, this could be mindset for salespeople, but I would invite you to be yet more specific, right? Because mindset is a ultra vague term. Now that doesn't mean mindset coaching, isn't sellable. It just means you can be clearer. But the point is, there's enough people around you that are doing the things that are nice to haves. You want to double down on the thing where you have an edge.
I won't be able to sleep today, I think. I'm thinking about this.
Then I've done my job. Perfect. Does that get you a first step?
Yes, I mean, yeah, absolutely. I will definitely think about it, and that might lead to more clarity.
Perfect. Perfect. Love hearing this. Thank you so much for your question. And this is the cue for anybody who's still here. I love that people are still here, 19 people. Anybody else who wants to ask a question, this is your chance. The only other chance you get at this point is to book a call through this QR code. And if not, 3, 2.
Oh, I have.
Hi, Sabrina. Hey, you're still
Yes,
walking.
hey.
Nice one. How many steps?
Yeah, I'm still walking. To be honest, I don't know what to say. To be honest, I got tired, but I got embarrassed to stop. So
I have an important
this is
question.
motivating me.
I think
Yeah.
we have the time for this. I have such an important question. Does your treadmill link with your iPhone or whatever phone you have to count the steps?
Probably yes, but I don't want it because I don't want the steps of walking to be related to my fitness goals, because I really have fitness goals in gym and running. So
Okay.
I don't want those easier things to
Love it.
to affect it.
Love it.
So,
I do
yeah.
triathlon, so I'm very aligned with.
Me
with that.
too. Nice. Me too.
Sweet. When are you doing
Yeah,
your next
but
one?
like really 2nd of August here in
Oh,
Frankfurt.
cool. I do mine in July in Hamburg. Sorry for everybody
Okay,
listening.
nice.
We
Sure.
can chat on it.
I booked a meeting with you, so we're gonna talk. But
Perfect.
I'm beginner. I'm a beginner.
I'm a beginner too.
Okay,
Aligned.
nice. So
What's
I'm
your
curious still about your services. So do you offer coaching since the positioning through presenting, or first you expect us to go through it and then you help with the systems?
The systems are part of my cohort. Let me clarify so I don't misunderstand you. Can you rephrase your question to ask, or what do you mean? Is it a question about product or about stage?
It's about how does their services work?
Okay, perfect. The first thing I'm going to say is I don't offer one-on-one coaching. Why? I've tried it all. I've tried masterminds. I've tried, and I mean physical masterminds over the course of days. Group coaching, single coaching, online courses. I've given and received all of it. The most effective by far way to get people from A to B is a cohort style session where in my specific offering, it's a 14 week, so it's 90 days plus 2 weeks, group peer program. Why? Because you want other people to have very ambitious goals like you and are like you to go on that journey with you. But you also want one-on-one sessions with me, with the coach, not somebody else outsourced, but with the coach to take you into your problems. The combination of the two of them, plus a little bit of self-paced ground foundational work that's effectively an online course, that is the magic sweet spot, right? So this is the broad overview, the quick overview of what I do. That's the only product I have. Of course, I do paid speaking, which works a little bit on a different, let's say, a target audience, but also a different market. And then I'm sometimes hired as a fractional CMO. So that's, yes, another product. But in terms of likely what you're going to request, if you're interested, is I only have one product, which is the cohort.
Okay, thank you very much. I booked a session with you. We're going to talk more in depth about it. Thank you.
Perfect. I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks so much.
Likewise.
Amazing. And with that, let's see if we get another countdown. And I know, Lucia, I don't know if you already want to go to bed or what's going on. I maybe you're getting paid for these hours, or maybe not. I don't know.
We can have more questions if they have. I can stay.
Are there any more questions, ladies and gentlemen? And if not, 3, 2, 1. We have Elenia. Yes, bring it on.
It's a very short one because I couldn't manage to get your contact details. I think it was in the next slide. Thanks a lot.
Of course, the email is super easy. Find me on LinkedIn. It should work. If not, one of those will work for sure.
We will
Thanks.
also share Alex's LinkedIn contact
Perfect.
tomorrow, so we have everything.
And thank you, Serena, as well. Sorry.
And last point, by the way, thank you for the question, Elenia. And last point, I want to remind everybody on here, all 14 of you, an easy next step for you is to go and reach out to one of the people that was in here that you resonated with, right? Go to their LinkedIn or try to find them. I don't know how effective this is now. You still have the chat right now. Go reach out. This is such a beautiful way to find potentially, business partners, potentially friends along your journey, like-minded people that can help you, okay? That can open doors. So do that. I can see some people are sharing their LinkedIn. Fantastic. Thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for asking your questions, for diving deep. Now impress yourself by implementing some of these things or all of these things. And then hopefully in a quarter year, half a year, sometime down the road, you're going to share these successes with us. And we're going to be really proud of you. Also, reach out and find Nova and check them out. They're super powerful. It's a great network. And before I close, Serena, back to you.
Besides signing up on your QR code and finding ways to interact with your premium products, is there something else you would want us to do for you?
That's super nice. I rarely ever hear that question. That's so nice. I welcome every type of collaboration. If there's alignment, I'm always open to hear what cool businesses people are building, how I can support them, but also how I can learn, right? I always like to learn from other people. I'm active on LinkedIn. Anything that's engagement related, I'm very happy to help others, and I'm very happy to receive help in terms of engagement. So do follow me, do engage, do share. That's super welcome. Other than that, just keep it in the loop and share with me your successes. This is what I'm doing it for. And the beauty of this is, and this might resonate with some of you, I hope this resonates with all of you. I'm so glad that I found my thing. A lot of people in this world haven't found their thing and are struggling to find their thing. I'm helping some of them find it and grow in their career, but there's so many people who haven't, and I'm so mega grateful that I found my thing. So one of the things that fulfills me the most genuinely is people that I either work with or just had a small touch point like this one to just share their success. Good. Thanks so much. I love the question, Serena. Thanks so much.
Great. So I don't want to other question.
Willem, I haven't seen you in so many years. Okay, for everybody who's still here, we go back
2010, 11, and then you left Munich
moly.
for studying in Vienna. It was
Good.
so great seeing what you're doing here, and I never consider myself kind of anywhere near to be a stage hero like you are. But really curious, and I've prepared a small question if we have time. So
go ahead.
How can basically authority and speaking experience can translate it into client intro calls on Zooms or client you're introduced to, so you having a chance of a better conversion rate, or just coming more true in a Zoom call?
I love the question. There's levels at which this works. Level number one. People reaching out to you, having found you through a different channel, will go to your profile and they see stage content, and they will put you, their perception will put you in a different category. As simple as that. Because the logic is, in our minds, is the person on stage must be an authority. The person who's the leading expert in an industry tends to speak on stages. So the reverse is also true, right? And this is why the reverse engineering of it works, right? This is why you can, for lack of a better word, hack your way to thought leadership, right? That's number one. The second one that's less tangible, but at least as effective, is you're going to improve your communication and executive presence skills through speaking on stages, and you're going to come across as a better authority. You're going to be more confident. You're going to be more matter of fact. You're going to be more effective in your communication, and in a sales call, that will mean conversion rate increase, right? How tangible is obviously dependent on you. The third one is a typical marketing argument. You need multiple touch points for people to remember you, right? So if you speak more, you will probably have more captions of that speaking, whether on camera, wherever you capture it. Hopefully you're going to publish that. And by that, you're going to have more content out. With more content, you're going to have more surface area that people are going to see you with. This happens to everyone who starts posting on LinkedIn who hasn't before. They're going to see some people come into their circle that haven't before simply by just posting, right? And it's because, you know, both algorithm and just how human psychology works. That's a big one. Again, not super directly measurable, but definitely existing, right? So these are the main ones. But, you know, the one that I would urge you to not underestimate is just the communication skills and your confidence in presenting yourself and your solution by just practice.
Perfect. Thank you.
My pleasure. Good to see you. Let's connect.
Yeah, it was wonderful being here. Thanks also to
Thanks so much. Thanks for making
inviting
the time.
guests.
Thanks so much. And for everyone who's still here, all 13 of you, I'm going to do another countdown. Let's do 3, 2, 1. Okay, with that, we'll wrap it up. Thanks so much for coming. You know, share your successes, and you'll hear from me about whatever next masterclass I'm doing on LinkedIn. So find me there. Thanks so much, Lucia, for creating this, for managing this, for being there, for being extra long. And I look forward to seeing all of you in some way or another in the future.
Thank you, Alex. I think everything you bring here was super valuable. I think the 12 of us here are just hoping to stop, think, and see how can we apply everything. So huge thank you to you. I love the session, and thank you all for participating. I've seen huge motivation for public speaking. So for all of you that are in the NOVA community, you can propose your own events. If you want a public speaking club, if you want to run your own events, please reach out, and I will be more than happy to help you with everything. So with this, I think we can end the call. Again, thank you so much. I enjoy a lot this session and hope to see you all very soon.
Thank you. Thanks to all of you. Thanks, Lucia. Hope to see you soon too.
Bye.